Welcome to KitPlus Daily. We say it every day, and whilst lockdown rules still exist, we will keep saying it. We are social distancing and are each about 30 miles from each other.
And as we mentioned yesterday, we have some of our very own news, which we'll share with you at the end of the show. So do keep watching.
And today's guest is someone we always visit and catch up with at the trade shows that we go to see. And that's coming up right now after the news.
Trickbox TV were recently able to reach out to Virtuoso when they needed to ensure the quality of their live stream was up to scratch. Virtuoso supports the teaching of recent medical research by broadcasting lectures and presentations alongside video straight from hospitals. Since the medical profession relies heavily on shared knowledge, especially at the moment, having good quality video and audio was essential. Trickbox managed this stream with heavy use of on-screen graphics, picturing pictures, etc., connecting doctors between Boston and Belfast, explaining the effects of COVID-19. Good to see so many of our industry supporting our key workers.
And Zixi has some great news today. Imagica Live has adopted Zixi and Zixi Z Master as the foundation of its worldwide transmission system. If you don't know, Imagica Live has been operating the virtual media center for live sports streaming since 2017, ingesting and aggregating live streams from more than 60 stations across Japan over IP and into their cloud system. They deployed the Zixi solution to provide low latency, error-free transmission and minimum noise and packet loss and best-in-class security with DTLS and AES encryption. Imagica is also using Zen Master for scheduling, orchestrating, monitoring and reporting.
And finally, Nevion tells us that its flagship Virtuoso software-defined media node is allowing Sinchira Media in Russia's telecoms to provide broadcast live events in Ultra HD as part of its Home Seasons project. This enables Russia's cultural community to continue to entertain audiences online despite its institutions being forced to close due to, of course, COVID-19. This is the first use of Nevion Virtuoso with Tyco compression technology in Russia, providing a 4-to-1 compression for Ultra HD signals for transport over IP networks with virtually no delay. Well, that's it for the news. Now it's time for our special guest.
And in the studio today, we have Mark Davies from TSL Products. Welcome, Mark, to KitPlus Daily. We've been asking all the guests that come in the studio, in light of the current COVID-19 pandemic, how they've been reacting and how their companies have been coping.
Okay, so when the lockdown started, there were a number of things we had to do. Of course, we took the driving principle that our staff came first and we weren't going to ask them to do anything they weren't comfortable with. But we also had to take into account all the laws and regulations that were coming out rapidly. We've got offices both in the UK, obviously, and in Los Angeles. So the lockdown in Los Angeles actually hit us 2 weeks before the UK. So by the time it got to the UK, we'd actually had a bit of practice with all of this. Most of our staff are working from home. That was pretty easy to do because of the tools we use today and the way we work, and decent broadband both in the UK and Los Angeles area. And we're quite fortunate with both plants as well, that there's a reasonable amount of space. So the people who had to remain in the plants to keep manufacturing going, there were no problems with implementing social distancing recommendations either. So that was made life a lot easier for us. One of the things that came up very rapidly, we had a number of requests from customers because our customers are obviously being forced to work at home as well. And they had a problem to manage their plant, which they used to using our control systems and a number of other control systems with buttons on the front. And suddenly they weren't in their plant to push the buttons. So they gave us this challenge of can they still push their buttons to decide which servers go on air and things from the safety of their study at home. So with this, we had to very rapidly reprioritize some of our R&D effort. And actually, we came up with a solution which we call Web Keys, where they can push buttons on a web page at home in their study, and actually that will be mimicked on devices back in the studio. So our control system were responding to actions they were performing at home. And this was really phenomenal effort by the R&D staff. So we went through concept, design, coding, QA, and deployment in under 3 weeks. So that was quite amazing. And of course, all of these solutions were deployed by our support staff who were working from the safety of their homes. So interestingly, our deployment by the support staff had probably hit around about 80% was done remotely before this happened. So switching deployment by service and support staff from home up to 100% was fairly easy for us to do. So it's been an interesting time, but those are the sort of things we've had to do to react to the situation we find ourselves in.
That's brilliant. Let's talk a little bit more about the IP side of things. So TSL obviously has demonstrated how its range of solutions can help reduce the complexity of moving over to an IP-based workflow. Tell us a bit about the success your customers have had with the adoption of live IP production.
Okay, so that's a really good question, actually. So, of course, we've been in IP since the very early days. We've been involved in the very early proof of concepts right through to full deployments. We now see outside broadcast vehicles that are almost entirely IP. Is it untrue to say there's no SDI anywhere or no gateways on those trucks, but it's getting much closer than it has been in the past. Our most successful product in the IP domain, of course, has been the PAM IP audio monitor. So we now have large deployments of this working in both 2022 6 and 2110. And the ability to decode an IP stream, monitor both the video and audio. Although it's a great technical challenge that we've cracked, and our customers appreciate this, along with our customers, as more and more IP became deployed, we realised that that's only half the story, really. It turns out control is king, particularly in live production. So with this in mind, the PAM IP over the years has gained a large number of control interfaces, offering both inbound and outbound control, supporting such standards as Ember Plus, AMR MOS, and our own RESTful API. So the experience gained through our membership of AMWA has allowed us to do a number of things. Obviously, that's appeared in the PAM IP, but we've also successfully demonstrated our control systems, switching systems using AMR MOS, ISO 4 and 5. We're also working with a number of partners through AMWA on some very exciting projects in this area as well.
Cool. It sounds like, certainly sounds like TSL's monitoring and control solutions are very well matched to the industry's needs and hopefully the future industry's needs. Where do you get your ideas from, and what do you see next? I'm interested.
So that's a really interesting point. For us as a small company, we've always gone with listening with our customers. That's our biggest source of input and where our most successful products come from. So an example of that was if NAB 2020 had been going ahead, we'd have been launching the second phase of our SAM-Q audio monitoring product. And this is the result of a huge amount of customer input. So the feedback we had from our customers regarding audio monitors is there's a big need to separate the requirements of operators from engineers. So with this in mind, we've actually separated out the operating modes. So there's an engineering mode, which can be pin protected, and an operator mode, where the operator only needs to see the menu items that are of interest to them, and they don't need to go anywhere where they may not understand what the consequences of what they're doing are and get themselves into trouble. So we also setting out the menu levels. We can set out the operation modes. So if there was, for example, a situation where this product was required to actually monitor peak levels, such as an audio engineer, we could put some audio meters up, and the engineer could look at those. Whereas by contrast, if there was a situation where a member of the cast just needed to see who was speaking at any one time, we could simply put up text labels labeling who was speaking on which channel, and he could simply see that just by glancing at the screen. So really interesting user feedback, being able to run things in different modes for different people and separate out the operator experience from the engineering experience. Phase 2 of the SAM-Q, as I say, would have been released at NAB, and that brings some interesting additions to this product. We're allowing the SDI inputs to switch between SDI and MADI, so this gives the unit an ability to monitor up to 128 audio sources, so quite phenomenal, and sort of should exceed the requirements of anything we can see going on in studios or production right now. We also added loudness monitoring, so there's eight channels of audio loudness monitoring, which of course loudness is mandatory in many countries, including the United States. And again, this was response to customer feedback. And one of the things finally that we implemented on here in response to customer feedback was the audio loudness values we've made available as streams out of the IP ports, so people can pick this up and connect it into third-party software, so they're not tied into having to have some proprietary product from us. They can feed loudness values directly into open source software, or software indeed that they want to write themselves. So that was a big bit of feedback we had, and we've implemented that on this product, and we've had really good feedback from the early adopters of this, that we've really hit the nail on the head with that one and got the right solution at the right time.
That's great. Yeah, great to hear. And let's see what the future holds. Thank you very much for coming in and chatting to us today, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Yeah.
So we said we had some news, and the Daily Show was only meant to really be a replacement for the NAB videos that we produce, and today was actually the last planned show. However, we've had such good feedback, it does seem a shame to stop.
These things cost money, though, and although it's been fun, there is a commercial side to everything we do. We've got to eat. So we're literally blown away when our friends at Media Proxy approached us and asked if they could help.
And the result, you ask? Well, you'll be getting KitPlus Daily for the next month. That's right, a daily show for the whole of May. And if you'd like to take part, then the link is on screen now. Lucky you.
So we've a few minor set changes to make over the weekend, and we'll be all ready to join you again next week. So have a great weekend and stay safe.